Hey there, you looking kinda cute. Don't forget to subscribe and check out my other socials for more. Enjoy. Is that the last of it? Timmy asked, hovering in the doorway. His long brown hair was pulled back in a loose ponytail, and he fidgeted with the hem of his oversized sweater. Madge nodded, gesturing to the nearly full suitcase. Just about. Did you remember to grab your medications from the bathroom? Oh, right, I almost forgot. Timmy darted out of the room, returning moments later with a small toiletry bag. He handed it to Madge, who carefully tucked it into a side pocket of the suitcase. As she zipped up the bag, Madge could feel the tension radiating from Timmy. She straightened up, turning to face him fully. How are you feeling, sweetheart? Timmy's eyes darted around the room, avoiding Madge's gaze. I don't know, excited, I guess, but also, he trailed off, biting his lip. Scared? Madge supplied, gently. Timmy nodded, finally meeting her eyes. What if this is a mistake? What if I'm not really... Madge stepped forward, placing her hands on Timmy's shoulders. Listen to me, Timmy. There's no rush, no pressure. We're taking this one day at a time, okay? If at any point you feel uncomfortable or want to slow down, you just need to say the word. Timmy's shoulders relaxed slightly under her touch. But what about Ruth? She's so angry. Madge sighed, her heart aching at the pain in Timmy's voice. Ruth, she's dealing with her own issues right now, but that's not your fault, understand? You have the right to explore who you are and be true to yourself. A car horn honked outside, making them both jump. Madge glanced at her watch. That'll be the taxi. Are you ready to go? Timmy took a deep breath, squaring his shoulders. As ready as I'll ever be. Madge smiled, giving his arm a reassuring squeeze before picking up the suitcase. Together, they made their way downstairs and out to the waiting taxi. As they approached the vehicle, the front door of the house burst open. Wait! Ruth's voice called out, breathless and strained. Madge and Timmy turned, watching as Ruth hurried down the front steps. She came to a stop a few feet away, her face a mask of conflicting emotions. I just wanted to say... Ruth's voice cracked, and she took a moment to compose herself. I may not understand all of this, but I do love you, Timmy. Both of you, please just be careful. Timmy's eyes welled up with tears. Without a word, he crossed the distance between them and threw his arms around Ruth. She stiffened for a moment before returning the embrace, holding him tightly. I love you too, Timmy whispered. As they parted, Ruth wiped her eyes and looked at Madge. Take care of him? Just take care. Madge nodded solemnly. Always. With one last look at the house that had been their home for so long, Madge and Timmy climbed into the taxi. As they pulled away from the curb, Timmy leaned his head against the window, watching Ruth's figure grow smaller in the distance. You okay? Madge asked softly. Timmy turned to her, a mix of sadness and hope in his eyes. Yeah, I think so. It's just a lot, you know. Madge reached over and squeezed his hand. I know, sweetheart, but we're in this together, every step of the way. The taxi wound its way through the suburban streets, eventually merging onto the highway. As the familiar landscape gave way to new surroundings, Timmy felt a strange mix of excitement and trepidation bubbling up inside him. So, Madge said, breaking the comfortable silence that had settled between them, I was thinking we could stop by that little boutique on Main Street tomorrow, the one with the cute sundresses in the window. Maybe pick out a few things for you to try on. Timmy's eyes lit up, a smile spreading across his face. Really? That would be amazing. Madge chuckled, patting his knee. Of course. And then maybe we can grab lunch at that new cafe? I hear they have fantastic vegetarian options. As they continued to chat about their plans for the coming days, the tension in Timmy's shoulders began to ease. The future, which had seemed so daunting just hours ago, now held a glimmer of promise and possibility. The taxi eventually pulled up in front of a modest 2-story house with a well-manicured front lawn. Pale yellow siding gave the home a cheerful appearance, and flower boxes bursting with colorful blooms adorned the windows. "Here we are," Madge announced, paying the driver before stepping out of the car. She popped the trunk and retrieved Timmy's suitcase while he climbed out, taking in their new surroundings. "It's beautiful," Timmy said softly, his eyes wide as he took in every detail. Madge smiled, leading the way up the front path. "Wait until you see inside. I've been working on getting everything ready for you." As they entered the house, Timmy was immediately struck by the warm, inviting atmosphere. The entryway opened up into a cozy living room with plush furniture and soft, warm lighting. Family photos adorned the walls, including several of Timmy from various stages of his life. "Come on," Madge said, gesturing for Timmy to follow her up the stairs. "Let me show you your room." They climbed to the second floor, and Madge paused in front of a closed door. She turned to Timmy with a smile. "Ready?" Timmy nodded, his heart racing with anticipation. Madge opened the door, revealing a spacious bedroom bathed in natural light from 2 large windows. The walls were painted a soft lavender, and sheer white curtains billowed gently in the breeze from an open window. A queen-sized bed dominated one wall, covered in a fluffy white comforter with delicate purple flowers embroidered along the edges. A white vanity stood in one corner, its surface arranged with an assortment of makeup and hair accessories. But what caught Timmy's attention immediately was the open closet door. Inside, he could see rows of dresses, skirts, and blouses in a variety of colors and styles. "Madge," Timmy breathed, his voice barely above a whisper. I don't know what to say." Madge wrapped an arm around Timmy's shoulders, giving him a gentle squeeze. "You don't have to say anything, sweetheart. I want you to feel comfortable and safe here. This is your space to explore and be yourself." Timmy turned, burying his face in Madge's shoulder as tears began to fall. "Thank you," he mumbled into her shirt. "Thank you so much." Madge held him close, rubbing soothing circles on his back. "You're welcome, Timmy. Or would you prefer if I called you Tiffany now?" Timmy pulled back, wiping his eyes as he considered the question. I think I'd like that. Tiffany. It feels right." "Tiffany it is then," Madge said with a warm smile. "Now, why don't you take some time to settle in? I'll go start on dinner, and we can talk more about your plans for hormone therapy and anything else you'd like to discuss." Tiffany nodded, already moving towards the closet to explore her new wardrobe. As Madge headed downstairs, she could hear the excited rustling of fabric and couldn't help but smile. It wouldn't be an easy road ahead, but seeing the joy on Tiffany's face made every challenge worth it. Over the next few weeks, Tiffany and Madge fell into a comfortable routine. Each morning, Tiffany would spend time experimenting with different outfits and makeup looks, with Madge offering gentle guidance and encouragement. They would then head out to explore their new neighborhood, gradually introducing Tiffany to the world as her true self. One sunny afternoon, they decided to visit a local park for a picnic. Tiffany wore a flowing sundress in a soft pink floral print, her long hair styled in loose waves. As they spread out their blanket under a shady oak tree, Tiffany couldn't help but notice the curious glances from passers-by. "Are you okay?" Madge asked, noticing Tiffany's discomfort. Tiffany nodded, though her smile was tight. "I'm fine. It's just, I feel like everyone's staring at me." Madge reached out, squeezing Tiffany's hand reassuringly. "Remember what we talked about? Some people might look, but that doesn't mean you're doing anything wrong. You have every right to be here, just like anyone else." Tiffany took a deep breath, trying to internalize Madge's words. As they unpacked their picnic basket, a colorful frisbee sailed through the air, landing near their blanket. A golden retriever bounded after it, tail wagging furiously. "Sorry about that," a voice called out. A young woman jogged over, her cheeks flushed from exertion. She smiled warmly at Tiffany and Madge. I hope we didn't interrupt your picnic." "Not at all," Madge replied, returning the smile. "It's a beautiful day for Frisbee." The woman nodded, then turned to Tiffany. "I love your dress, by the way. That color looks gorgeous on you." Tiffany's eyes widened in surprise, a genuine smile spreading across her face. "Oh, thank you so much." As the woman returned to her game, Tiffany turned to Madge, her eyes shining. "Did you hear that? She complimented my dress." Madge chuckled, patting Tiffany's knee. "Of course she did, sweetheart. You look beautiful." The rest of the afternoon passed pleasantly, with Tiffany gradually relaxing and enjoying the sunshine. As they packed up to leave, she felt a newfound sense of confidence blooming within her. The following week brought Tiffany's first appointment with an endocrinologist to discuss hormone therapy. As they sat in the waiting room, Tiffany's leg bounced nervously, her fingers twisting the strap of her purse. "What if they say I can't start hormones?" she whispered to Madge, her voice tight with anxiety. Madge placed a calming hand on Tiffany's arm. "Then we'll figure out our next steps together. But remember, you've already done all the necessary counseling and evaluations. This is just the next part of the process." Before Tiffany could respond, a nurse called her name. They both stood, following the nurse to an exam room. The doctor, a kind-faced woman in her 50s, entered a few minutes later. "Hello, Tiffany," she said warmly, extending her hand. "I'm Dr. Patel. It's nice to meet you." As the appointment progressed, Dr. Patel explained the effects of hormone therapy, potential risks, and what Tiffany could expect in the coming months. She answered all of Tiffany's questions patiently, her manner both professional and compassionate. "Well, Tiffany," Dr. Patel said as the appointment drew to a close, "based on your medical history and the evaluations from your therapist, I see no reason why we can't start you on hormone therapy today. Is that something you'd like to do?" Tiffany's eyes filled with tears of joy as she nodded emphatically. "Yes, please. I've been waiting for this for so long." Dr. Patel smiled, patting Tiffany's hand. "I'm happy to hear that. We'll start you on a low dose and monitor your progress closely. Remember, this is a marathon, not a sprint. The changes will come gradually, but they will come." As they left the clinic with Tiffany's first prescription in hand, Madge couldn't help but feel a surge of pride. The road ahead would undoubtedly have its challenges, but seeing the hope and excitement in Tiffany's eyes made every step worth it. Over the next few months, Tiffany blossomed. The hormones began to work their subtle magic, softening her features and redistributing her body's curves. With each passing week, she grew more confident in her appearance and her place in the world. One evening, as they sat on the back porch watching the sunset, Tiffany turned to Madge with a serious expression. "I've been thinking," she said, her voice soft but determined. "I want to go back to school, finish my degree." Madge's eyebrows rose in surprise. "That's wonderful, Tiffany. What brought this on?" Tiffany shrugged, a small smile playing on her lips. "I guess I feel like I'm finally becoming who I was always meant to be. And now that I'm comfortable in my own skin, I want to pursue my dreams, make something of myself." Madge reached out, squeezing Tiffany's hand. "I'm so proud of you, sweetheart. We'll start looking into programs tomorrow. The world better watch out. Tiffany's coming to make her mark." They both laughed, the sound carrying on the warm evening breeze. As the stars began to twinkle in the darkening sky, Tiffany felt a sense of peace settle over her. For the first time in her life, she was truly, completely herself, and the future had never looked brighter. The process of applying to colleges was both exciting and nerve-wracking for Tiffany. She spent hours poring over course catalogs, researching different programs, and working on her application essays. Madge was there every step of the way, offering encouragement and proofreading her work. One afternoon, as Tiffany sat at the kitchen table surrounded by brochures and application forms, the doorbell rang. Madge went to answer it, returning a moment later with a surprised look on her face. "Tiffany," she said gently, "there's someone here to see you." Tiffany looked up, her eyes widening as Ruth stepped into the kitchen. The older woman looked nervous, her hands clasped tightly in front of her. "Ruth?" Tiffany said, standing up slowly. "What are you doing here?" Ruth took a deep breath, her eyes taking in Tiffany's appearance, the subtle changes in her face, the way her clothes fit differently now. I wanted to see you, to talk, if that's okay." Tiffany glanced at Madge, who nodded encouragingly. "Of course," Tiffany said, gesturing to an empty chair. "Please, sit down." As Ruth settled into the chair, Madge excused herself, giving them privacy to talk. An awkward silence fell over the kitchen, neither woman quite sure where to begin. Finally, Ruth spoke. "You look happy," she said softly. "It suits you." Tiffany felt tears prick at her eyes. "I am happy," she replied. "Happier than I've ever been." Ruth nodded, her own eyes glistening. "I owe you an apology, Tiffany. I was scared, and I let that fear keep me from supporting you when you needed me most. I'm so sorry." Tiffany reached across the table, taking Ruth's hand in hers. "Thank you," she said, her voice thick with emotion. "That means more to me than you know." They talked for hours, Ruth asking questions about Tiffany's transition and her plans for the future. As the afternoon light began to fade, Ruth stood to leave, pulling Tiffany into a tight hug. "I'm proud of you," she whispered, "and I love you no matter what." Tiffany clung to her, tears streaming down her face. "I love you too," she murmured. As Ruth drove away, Madge came to stand beside Tiffany in the doorway. "You okay?" she asked softly. Tiffany nodded, wiping her eyes. "Yeah, I am. It feels like a weight has been lifted. Like my family is whole again." Madge wrapped an arm around Tiffany's shoulders, pulling her close. "Family isn't always about blood, sweetheart. It's about love, acceptance, and support. And you have all of that in spades." The next few weeks flew by in a whirlwind of activity. Tiffany submitted her college applications and threw herself into preparing for the next chapter of her life. She and Madge spent evenings researching scholarships and financial aid options, determined to make her educational dreams a reality. One morning, as Tiffany was getting ready for her part-time job at a local bookstore, the mail arrived. Among the usual bills and advertisements was a thick envelope addressed to her from her top-choice university. With trembling hands, Tiffany opened the envelope, her eyes scanning the letter inside. A moment later, she let out a joyous shriek. Madge, come quick!" Madge rushed into the room, her eyes wide with concern. "What is it? What's wrong?" Tiffany thrust the letter into Madge's hands, happy tears streaming down her face. "I got in, and they're offering me a scholarship." Madge's face broke into a wide grin as she read the letter. "Oh, Tiffany, I'm so proud of you." She pulled Tiffany into a tight hug, both of them laughing and crying with joy. As the reality of her acceptance sank in, Tiffany felt a mix of excitement and nervousness. "It's really happening," she said softly. "I'm going to college. As myself." Madge cupped Tiffany's face in her hands, looking her in the eye. "And you're going to be amazing. You've come so far, Tiffany. This is just the beginning of all the wonderful things you're going to accomplish." The months leading up to the start of the fall semester were a flurry of activity. Tiffany and Madge went shopping for dorm essentials, attended orientation sessions, and had long talks about what college life might be like. As move-in day approached, Tiffany found herself growing more anxious. "What if my roommate doesn't accept me?" she confided in Madge one evening. "What if people are cruel?" Madge sat beside her on the bed, wrapping an arm around her shoulders. "There might be some people who don't understand, that's true. But remember how strong you are, Tiffany. You've already overcome so much, and for every person who might not accept you, there will be others who will love and support you for exactly who you are." Tiffany leaned into Madge's embrace, drawing strength from her words. "You're right," she said softly. "I can do this. The morning of move-in day dawned bright and clear. As they loaded the car with Tiffany's belongings, Ruth pulled up in her own vehicle, ready to join them for the trip to campus. "I hope you don't mind," Ruth said, a hint of nervousness in her voice. "I wanted to be there for your big day." Tiffany's face lit up with a radiant smile. "Of course I don't mind. I'm so glad you're here." The drive to campus was filled with excited chatter and last-minute advice. As they pulled into the busy parking lot, Tiffany took a deep breath, steeling herself for what lay ahead. Together, the three of them carried Tiffany's belongings to her new dorm room. As they approached the door, they could hear music and laughter coming from inside. Tiffany hesitated for a moment before knocking. The door swung open, revealing a petite girl with curly red hair and a friendly smile. "Hi," she said brightly. "You must be Tiffany. I'm Emma, your roommate." Tiffany smiled back, feeling some of her nervousness dissipate. "It's nice to meet you, Emma." As they entered the room and began unpacking, Emma chatted easily with Tiffany, Madge, and Ruth. Her warmth and openness put everyone at ease, and before long, the room was filled with laughter and conversation. When it came time for Madge and Ruth to leave, Tiffany felt a lump form in her throat. She hugged them both tightly, whispering thank yous and I love yous. "Remember," Madge said softly, holding Tiffany's face in her hands, "you are strong, you are beautiful, and you are loved. Go out there and show the world who Tiffany really is." As Tiffany watched them drive away, she felt a mix of sadness and excitement. This was it, the start of her new life on her own terms. Emma appeared at her side, linking their arms together. "Come on, roomie," she said with a grin. "Let's go explore campus. I heard there's an ice cream social for new students in the quad." Tiffany smiled, allowing herself to be led away from the dorm. As they walked across the sunlit campus, surrounded by the buzz of excited new students, she felt a sense of hope and possibility wash over her. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to check out my other socials if you want more wonderful content, early access, behind the scenes, and more. All links down below.